We're carrying on with our coverage of the 2020 season of the SA SBK series with the NGK spark plugs and, of course, all the bikes on Bridgestone tyres at the moment. And we're going to chat to Dave McFadden all the way from Cape Town, the man who's actually leading that championship at the moment. Got him on a Zoom call. Dave, great to have you on the line. And fantastic for our series, the way it's kicked off this year with our new sponsors. And, of course, a great result for you the first two rounds at Swartcourt.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really good start to the season to take the double win at the first round and come out of the second round of the season leading the championship. I must say, I think a big part of it, obviously, one of it is riding the new 2020 Yamaha R1. It's a really nice bike and I adapted to it quickly and we got it straight on pace. But I think the biggest thing that kind of helped us, especially at the first round, get to winning quickly, the Bridgestone tyres just seemed to work for me straight away. And all work well with the Yamaha together. The package just seemed really good. So it's nice to have the guys behind the series, having Bridgestone behind the series now, and also NGK. It's nice to have some support, and it's good to see the series is growing again. And each race we've got a couple more riders. It's definitely more competitive. The races are closer. The riders, there's not one guy running away with 10-second gaps, and I think that's what you want. You want kind of that anyone can race and any privateer can still win a race. You don't have to have these factory bikes and things like that. So yeah, it's exciting, and I look forward to get back to racing, and hopefully we can be stronger than we were. Eh?
Well, I'm sure your competitors are hoping to race as well, because we're looking forward to a great season. Dave, I spoke to the other guys that you're racing against at the moment, and it seems like most of them came from a motocross background. Started off with a mini cross, little 50s and so on. So I suppose not much difference for you.
Yeah, I think like most of the riders, I started off the same. I think at the age of 3, I had a little QR50 and then had the PW50s to race, and kind of went through all the small classes, raced 60s and 85s. And I raced motocross from the age of about 3 up until 18. I think really only in about when I was 16, 17, 18, the last few years that I raced, I kind of took it serious and thought, I want to do well at this, or I want to make racing motorbikes a career. Before that, it was just, probably say a hobby, go down on the weekend and go ride for some fun and be with your mates kind of thing. But as you get older, you start realizing that there's a life out of this, or you want to make a life of it. So, and it was always my goal and everything was always to race motocross and be a professional motocross racer. But somehow I turned to the tar.
Well, I must tell you, we used to come down to Cape Town and film on the short circuit there, the karting circuit, the annual 8-hour event. And this name popped out suddenly in the results. Person I'd never heard of was Dave McFadden. And they were really saying, who's this McFlash guy, So you kind of made your debut, I suppose, on those little 150s.
Yeah, I think without even realizing that was kind of the start of my road racing career. We just really did it for fun, and it was totally, it's an annual race. It's an 8-hour endurance race, really for fun. And it's in December, so you've got this whole kind of relaxed approach and just go there for fun. But I think 10 minutes into it, I realized, no, I want to win this race and I want to give this thing a go. And I think it was also more like, because I was a motocross rider and I was racing against road racers, there was that kind of competitive side that I wanted to show these road racers that motocross guys are better, So I think that's where it came from. And I think after getting past the first few times, I realized, no, I need to start passing people as well. And it just happened like that. So kind of before knowing it, I was so hooked and I just wanted to win. And yeah, it was fun, eh?
And then you made the trip across the track. It's only about 100 meters from the little track to the main Killarney racetrack. And suddenly you're in the big boys. And I spoke to Clint Seller recently, and he said, boy, he came down to Killarney, and you always know that the local riders are going to be fast, and suddenly this guy came along there and blew him to the weeds, and he couldn't believe it. And the guy's name was Dave McFadden. You'd made the trip across to the big track.
Yeah, so I mean, I think after riding the 150s, I kind of realized that the road racing is obviously fun, because initially when you're young, you think, motocross the only way, the only adrenaline kind of rush. And I still was not yet decided if I wanted to race road race. My dad had an R6 that he did a bit of regional racing and just rode for fun. So I went to do one day practice on it, and after a few laps I realized with the adrenaline rush from the speed of this thing, this is a must. We must do road racing, and that's me. I don't think I went back to motocross. I don't think I raced after that day. After I rode once on an R6, that was me. I was really sold everything in motocross, and I was decided I'm going road racing, So it was that's how it kind of just started, just with no real intentions. But Yeah, I got thrown in the deep end and I went to race nationals, and it was hard to start. The guys were really fast. But in the beginning, everyone was really helpful. I mean, everyone I race against now, when I started, helped me with my career with some advice or some tips on track, or got to follow them for a lap, from Stephen Erndal, Clint Sellers, Lance, Sheds. All of them have actually kind of helped me get to where I am now, and it's awesome. Now we're all racing together.
There's always been a thing that when you go to race in Cape Town at Killarney on the national circuit, suddenly you got these guys who are so fast on their home tracks. Did you find that was in the beginning that you were definitely better at home, and it took you a while to get used to the national circuits and be a competitor at the other tracks?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we started off Cape Town, I think Cape Town's one of those tracks where it's actually like, to go fast, it's about the correct line and how to miss the bumps and so on. So, and then you don't kind of have that advantage when you go to another track, So I think fortunate enough, what helped me, because of racing motocross, I learned another track quite fast, but you don't have the knowledge of what's the right thing or not the right thing to do. And I did notice, like in my first year racing, I was very inconsistent in the sense I could go to a certain track, Swartkop, so straight away I went fast. Other tracks like Kisa, I was totally lost for a day. So it was quite interesting it took me a lot of time to understand and to find the advantages of each track, and, how to get to pace as quick as the other guys were.
Well, certainly at that time, national racing was really pumping, and you joined straight in there and did really well. Then you decided, no, I'm going to leave South Africa for a bit and go and race overseas.
Yeah, I mean, so I raced the 600 for 2 or 3 years in South Africa, and did a few rounds on the 1,000, and decided, when the opportunity came, I must go. And I was fortunate enough to go in 2012 to race in my first round was in Misano and the World Superstock with Pedercini Kawasaki. And I mean, I think like all of us, our hopes are to go there and win, but you're in the deep end. The first time I got there, I was kind of like almost shocked how good the guys were, and also the level of the bike, the team, the equipment, everything around you is such a high level, and it's kind of something you dream your whole life to get to. But we did well from our first go. I mean, I crashed quite a few times before the first race, just trying to ride a bit out of my skin, just to your mind's telling you have to prove yourself. It's now or never type thing. I was fortunate enough to I think I qualified 10th, maybe finished 10th or 9th in the race, and one of the practices I was faster. So I kind of made a bit of a name for myself in the first go. So that was pretty exciting. And that's kind of, then after that, I just wanted to make it and race overseas against the guys.
I don't think many of our fans and other riders in South Africa realize just how difficult it is to get on an airplane and go and race overseas. Not just the racing, it's everything that goes around it. The lifestyle, the food, the traveling. It's not easy, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a big, especially from South Africa, it's a big ask, Obviously, when you first go over, we're flying in and out just for the race, and the first few rounds you get there, you're always tired because you're not used to all these travels, and you're taking the cheapest flight and it's the longest flight, and there's all of that goes with it, and all, like you say, the unknown of the food and all this, and the different lifestyles of waking up, and you're out of your training routines. And so when you first get over, it is kind of a big ask as a rider to come from South Africa and go there and try to perform at your best, and at the same time take this all in, that you're not even, we hardly get to often, how would I say it, often even watch World Superbikes or so on live. We've had it a few times in South Africa, but I think growing up as an Italian or Spanish, you go to 2 or 3 races a year, watch it, and then if you go race it, it's not like we get to the first time, you're trying to focus on racing, but you're also trying to look up to the guys you've been watching on TV because it's so exciting and so awesome. So in the beginning, it's definitely a lot to take in from that sense. And I think that's also what makes it, I must say, if anyone has opportunity, if you can go once or you can go 100 times, you have to go. And it's just, if you love racing, it is everything. So.
And then, Dave, you've come back to South Africa the last couple of years, doing it pretty much on your own. I see you prepare your own bikes. I mean, we went to put some stickers on your bike the last round, and they wouldn't stick properly because you had literally painted the bike yourself with spray cans. A lot of guys, they just send it off to the spray booth and get it done and pay for it. You're doing it all yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of like to kind of do my thing, do everything myself. You know, I was fortunate when I raced the 600 in South Africa, and the year we won the championship, I actually had Dave Freeman working with me, and that obviously I learned so much knowledge from Dave and from all my experience overseas. And you know, my business is around my racing. So I think the images, I want to prepare my bike. I want to win on the bike. I prepared so that if I work on a customer's bike, they can, it's to show them if I can trust in my own bike, then everyone kind of should, you know what I'm saying? So that's always what it's been. And I suppose, you know, it also goes down to budget. We don't really have a endless amount of budget to pay for all these things. So when I look at it, I go, it's a few $1,000 to spray the bike. I'd rather buy tires and spend 100 Rand on a can and go racing. So I've always, you know, I'm not really into the overly flash things. I just want the best bike I can have within our budget and do the best, you know. So yeah, I think that's what it's about. But I do enjoy doing everything myself. I enjoy preparing the bike, and it's as much of a almost pleasure to prepare the bike as to race the bike for me.
I also saw your name come up in the Cape cycle race recently. Take us through your training regime, and it seems like you're a bit of a top cyclist as well.
Yeah, so I mean, like obviously, like most most athletes, you know, for the racing, you need to train as much as possible. So through one of my personal sponsors, with the owner of RST Leathers, Johnny Towers, he's also an ex-cyclist in his day, and he was like, when we kind of started working together, he said to me, no, cycling is, you know, you need to cycle. The gym obviously helps to a point, but you need to cycle. So I got into it, and before you know it, it's like anything. I think being a racer, you get so addicted, and you know, I got a few times riding with guys, and then you train more and more and more too. And then I did a few races kind of off season just to keep busy, and it's just all of a sudden, the next thing I knew, I was almost as hooked at motorbike racing as bicycles. And now, I mean, last year I did a few races and got a lot better at it, and I raced a little bit of like our local crit series. And then somehow this year I've taken it way more serious. I ended up doing the Cape Cycle Tour. The week before the cycle tour, we did the Tour of Good Hope, which is like a 5-day stage race, and I managed to get on the podium. So it was like it's been really cool. I don't know, I say it's just to ride my motorbike, but I'm also as addicted as it. Now in lockdown, I think all I ever do is ride the bicycle, and we're racing in a virtual world, and it's quite exciting. It's just, I think once you race, you've got this competitive side you have to use, you know, so that's kind of, I never planned to be a cyclist as well, but it just happened.
Well, it's incredible, I think. As we know, a lot of the top guys can cycle. Sheridan Moraes, for instance, won a mountain bike 12-hour race on his own doing that mountain. So you guys are all good at it. Obviously, 2 wheels is 2 wheels. Dave, any advice for up-and-coming riders? You've been through it now. You've been around. It's not like you're an up-and-coming rider anymore. What would you say to newcomers to our sport, particularly in superbikes?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously the most important thing is you need to give your all and do what you can to be on the grid. And I think it's like something a lot of people have the kind of mentality, if you can't ride for this team or you can't have this equipment, you're not there. Like, I'm still a believer, you just need to be there in every race, do what you can to improve, and kind of, if you're honing on your own skills and improving, when the big opportunities do come to get on the factory type bike or ride for a better team or so on, you've improved yourself. You know, a lot of people I've seen over the years, they kind of like, they've lost the race before they've started because they're not riding the latest this bike, or they don't have the latest this sort of equipment or these suspension. You know, I think you need to do everything you can to be on the grid and just keep pushing to do your best, and the time will come. There's always those days where the stars align. Each person has their time, you know, so you know, I'm a believer in that, and just work for it. If you really want it, you need to work for it, and it will come together. So our sport is definitely on the up again and seems to be growing, and we've got the right people behind the series, and I think it can only get better now.
Well, let's talking about this year. You've got, as you say, it can only get better. You've got probably some of the hardest competitors right now out there racing against you. You've raced against them last year as well, put up some incredible performances. I think we're in for some great racing for the rest of the year when we finally do get back on track.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when we do get back, first of all, we're all going to be so hungry to race or to win or just to ride motorbikes. It's probably the longest in all our career we haven't actually ridden a motorbike, and the unknown of when we will ride again, I think but it's only going to, I mean, it's obviously difficult to deal with now, but it's only going to make us hungrier. And I think the racing is going to be so exciting when we do get back. I can't wait to just get back to racing. And we've worked a lot off track in trying to improve the bike, obviously improve myself. And yeah, I can't wait to get to different tracks, because obviously this year we've only raced at Zwartkops twice. So it'll be nice to get to a few different tracks. I really hope we get the opportunity to race at Kyle Army at Cape Town again and see what can happen. So it will be really good.
Well, that's the lowdown from Dave McFlash. And Dave, it's been great talking to you. We hope you do get back on track soon. And of course, get back on your bicycle, because I think you can cycle between, 6 and 9 or something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll be cycling every day between 6 and 9 and doing the training I can. And fortunately, we race like in a virtual world on the bicycles as well. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, thanks for having me. I must just obviously, most important, say thanks to all my sponsors for keeping me here. And, got to say thanks to the series for Bridgestone and NGK. And then, yeah, I look forward to see if we can get our stunt to say Yamaha R1 back to winning and hopefully racing soon,